welcome. First of all, everybody, we're gonna discuss some things today that me and Maurus here are very passionate about, which is how do you become loyal with your customers and how do you personalize at scale to provide relevant customer experiences, basically. Let me introduce myself first. I'm Mattias Eriksson, work as VP Strategic Accounts at Voyado. We are a software vendor creating a tool that we're going to kind of base this discussion around a little bit today as well, how we help customers. And with me, I have my friend from our partner Vaimo as well. Maurus, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi all. I'm Maurus and I work as a digital strategy consultant for Vaimo. And then Vaimo is a global full-service digital commerce company helping the clients in digital transformation and e-commerce. It's nice to be here today and talk about the personalization and the customer experience.
Very good. So let's get cracking at this. First of all, I want to say or talk to a little bit how we've decided what approach that Voyado decided early on, and that was to focus in, not trying to solve everything for everybody, but 100% focusing on retail. What that has given us is the ability to build what we think is a very crisp platform with all the functions, features, and everything above that a retailer and a marketeer needs, but the simplicity that comes with building everything from on the one tool, basically, or one hood, to give the marketeer speed in their execution of this. So that has been key, but also the experience that is provided us. We have about 200 plus retail customers today that's done it all, basically, good and bad. So we know a lot about the do's and don'ts and can help the customers that we work to execute and find the right strategies. And we're going to talk a little bit about a few of those today. What's your view, Maurus, on this and the focus itself?
Yeah, I mean, I can truly sign off the importance. I mean, looking at retail focus, the speed and simplicity. So this is what we've seen with our joint customers as well in delivering value. I mean, if you look at speed, simplicity, I mean, they are the core ingredients in the success. I mean, there's so much to take, and it's so easily with a good platform and a partner. I mean, whether you're first cyber or more like an experienced marketeer, so just focus on the core.
Right. Very true. And to put this in context, obviously, what we do, and specifically what Vaimo does as well, is how do we help these retailers, these customers, to become unified and have a unified approach across platform and touch points where you meet your customers. This is a very boring slide, of course, but you need a lot of technology to be able to perform this. The idea here is that we don't, from a Voyado perspective, we don't solve everything here, but we have identified the different pieces of the puzzle that are relevant for a marketeer at one of these retailers to be able to execute on these loyalty strategies. And we built it under the same hood. To connect the full solution, that's where our friends at Vaimo comes into play to really execute, because there's a lot of data in the other systems as well that we want to get, basically. So speak a little bit to what you do there, Maurus.
Yeah, Mattias. So I mean, essentially, like Mattias said, it's about kind of like understanding which are the core pieces in the puzzle. It's not necessarily all, it's the meaningful ones. And we build solutions with Voyado as kind of like the central hub for the customer information and processes. And it's simple to get the flows working between the Voyado and the e-commerce platform and other systems. I mean, it's all about utilizing as much as relevant data as possible, looking at the 360 sales data from any old channels and all the behavioral data from the websites. So it's rather easy to get kick-started and then get the flow working and reach the speed and the simplicity approach, which we are seeking to find. And then you don't need to be an architect with all this. I mean, we as providers, we help you to navigate through it and then figure out it with your business and IT, and essentially to get the needed data flows working. So that's pretty much it in simplicity.
Right. So what you're saying is if you have the right partner, you don't have to worry about the flows going in the correct way, basically.
Exactly. So typically, I mean, the challenge might be around the IT processes and so on. Let's say you as a marketeer work with this, and then you might not be able to and have the ability to discuss with your IT the needed spectrum of the integration and so forth. So this is where good partners kick in and help you to focus on the marketing piece.
Yeah, right. So what I've done here is that basically we're looking at what is under the hood. What have we built in under one and the same hood here? And it's a circle here that you're looking at, of course. Most of our friends out there that does approximately the same things here, they're going to speak to all these topics. And the importance of this discussion today is even if you have all the functions and features, how can you get that speed on execution? So that's the focus, and that's what we have been able to create for our customers. Get that speed of execution, have an idea and go to campaign within hours instead of several days, basically. But if we look at this piece here, I want to show you, or just go around the circle so you understand what the contents or what the different areas are that are important for you to be able to execute. So you have a CDP as the foundation. For those that don't know the acronym, it's a customer data platform. Basically means that we store all the customer data in one and the same place. So all the behavior online, offline, how you click on an email, if you redeem a voucher, we create a lot of predictive models to understand what churn levels you have and things like that as well. But everything that you want or need to be able to create a lot of segmentations and group people together in certain ways to become more personal. The more data you have here, the better. And that's where the integrations with, for example, Magento or the POS or other sources is key as well, to be able to get live, fresh data in at all times. To be able to make, execution and with a quality, you need to look at numbers. You need to look at certain insights and KPIs to base that good idea on. Are we thinking in the right way? So we have created insights or retail reports that our customers have told everybody that this is what we want to have a look at before we execute on a certain idea. So that has been very, very crucial as well, to simplify that for the marketeer to get going right away. The loyalty piece, big success factor for us, where we have been able to build that into this tool as well, where you can work with everything from the likes of reward points, converting those into vouchers, money to drive traffic on-site, off-site, but also tier levels, bronze, silver, gold, whatever you want to call that, or achievements, like do something positive for your brand. Maybe write a review or recruit a friend, follow you guys on Instagram. They should earn something based on that, and obviously automate that flow as well, which we'll get to at the end, to be able to scale in the way that we're talking about today. You can also execute on other type of campaigns if you have a 20% discount campaign going on, or double points on a certain category and things like that, and then assign that to a certain group of people, and obviously communicate and drive the traffic back to the site or to your stores. On the bottom, we have predictive models. I talked to that. I'll mention a few. Churn is very important to be able to create a automated win back campaign, for example. We also do customer lifetime value to understand who are the best customers over time. Favorite categories, brands, stuff like that might be relevant to be able to segment on as well. And we work with product recommendations as well, that you can both display and use on site, but also in the email, which gets me to the campaign piece, where we are the engine behind email, SMS, the connections and flow and communication to the store staff through the POS, but also social. Meaning that within Voyado, you create a lot of customer segments, you group people together that you find very attractive. Then you want to find more of those. So then you can automatically sync that segment with Facebook and Google and find twins and lookalikes and drive those folks back to Voyado. And we keep track of the transactions so we can automatically remove that. So it doesn't cost you money and it doesn't annoy the consumer either. And then cherry on top, which I'm actually going to show you in a use case in a bit in practice, because then it's more fun to look at than slides as well, is the marketing automation piece, to automate and build journeys. And that's obviously a big piece to where, the speed and scalability comes into play as well, to be able to do this with not too much staff in play. I guess bounce this with you, Maurus. We've discussed this, but share with the audience as well. What's your take on this structure?
Yeah, I mean, this is really spot on. I have personally worked with a lot of different tools for almost 20 years now in this landscape, and you just can't emphasize it too much. I mean, being under one roof, I mean, since it just works in a way. And of course, I mean, you don't need to see it as a restraint either, since you can connect a lot of data into Voyado, as we were looking in on the previous slides. So even if it's just one roof, it doesn't mean that it's simple. It scales up in a beautiful way. And this is the thing that the modern technologies in companies like Voyado, I mean, they allow you as the marketers to focus really on the core. I mean, the strategy and the tactics and the marketing communication. So it's about the value in the omnichannel business nowadays, using the momentum.
Right. And I think that, we have a couple of joint clients together, like Rappala and Moomin, and everybody speaks to, we need a tool set. We need certain, features and functions to be able to perform and execute on our use cases. But why people go with us, as a joint force right now, is that simplicity and the speed. And also, to get to a point here as well, is how do we help them as well? Because there's one thing getting a tool in your lap and okay, it's simple. What do I do now? Like setting the strategies is if not equally, then probably more important as well. So we have that experience to be able to support and help, and so that you as a retailer don't need to start from blank paper either, if that makes sense. This is just one example of a kind of a whiteboarded customer journey. We have many of these that's been successful for other type of retailers, and then you can go in and tweak and work with this. And I'm going to show you how to build one of these as well, just to show you the speed. It's going to go fast, so maybe you probably won't follow every piece, but you're going to get the simplicity of it. And there's so many things that you can work with here. I talked about churn and a win-back campaign, automating that flow, or registration flow, or how do you work with somebody goes from bronze to silver in a tier level automatically. Onboarding processes, which is key here as well. Because some of the values that we're going to try to with every customer to help them with is to get average receipt up, like get more money on each customer. Increase the customer lifetime value over time as well, of course. Simplify the recruitment process so it becomes cheaper, but also that you get more members, of course, in a big way. And also just get higher revenue coming in, basically, based on these more personal communications and automated flows to make sure that nothing falls in between the cracks here. So what's your take on this this approach to focus a lot on the strategies combined with how you execute it, obviously, in the platform and tool?
Exactly. I mean, this is a super important topic. I mean, what I've seen personally with many customers I work with, and also as working on the other side of the table, so to speak, that the value is really having a solid kickstart and value delivering best practice scenarios in a way, because many don't even realize that there's so much you can do here in a way. So you might get lost in the translation and the opportunities. Yeah. So looking at from this point of view, that having a best practice scenarios and incorporate them with the business specific needs, I think that is the key as well, that you shouldn't just copy paste what comes out, but you will have a solid kickstart for months to start with. And then of course, the overall automation becomes really essential in having a good dialogue. I mean, as nowadays, you could argue that we should be talking about the micro moments and have the conversation with the customers on an individual levels and always being relevant. So I mean, looking from the masses more to the micro and individual level. And then I still, there are people I talk with, I mean, many think that this can be easily achieved in a manual setup by just kind of like pulling out data from your CRM and importing it to a newsletter tool and just kind of repeating this cycle in a way, you know? And then in a way, one could argue that, yeah, you can do it. It's a bit of old school fashioned way, but it just doesn't really work in a way as Mattias described the opportunities you have there. It starts to be tens, hundreds of different scenarios you can harness. So it just doesn't work as the old fashioned way becomes too complex and expensive. And also, if you look from KPI point of view as well, and having the scenarios placed, you can focus on the constant marketing improvements, not the tech piece itself. And you can always test and learn on the fly. I mean, to improve the respective KPIs, which comes, of course, with the best practice scenarios and the support from the partners. So I think that makes a powerful piece there.
No, I agree, and you know, one of the biggest mistakes you make today is that you buy a new piece of software and you keep working it the same way, or you don't improve your processes. The idea here is to improve and take advantage of the new technology, not to copy paste what you're doing today. And also that you're changing over time. So even if we help you guys, you know, kickstart something and you have a good start and you start creating value, you want to constantly measure and improve. So you need something where you have the control and power as a marketing team to be able to adapt and tweak whatever you're doing. I think it's important as well. But let's take this into context. Let's look at a specific challenge, which hopefully you'll be able to relate to or understand at least, and whiteboard a solution basically on how to potentially solve this. And the idea here is that this is one example of why it's important to become fast and get control back to marketing. Because if you're going to scale and become personal, you know, from a global perspective for some of you guys, or just from a, you know, a Finnish perspective, depending on where you operate, but to be able to scale in a fast way, you need that speed and simplicity, right? So this specific challenge that I'm showing you guys on the slide now is based on a real live scenario with a fashion retailer. And I'll just read it out loud. It's a specific young female jeans category that is not selling well in a certain region. Stock levels are too high, costing a lot of money. So I'll stop. Can you relate to this issue, Maurus, since you're the only one I can ask here?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, to be honest with you, this is one of my favorite scenarios, and have truly a lot of hands-on experience with it. I mean, too often the stock inventory management is being neglected in a way. I mean, you can look at it from different points of view. I mean, and first in the econ landscape, I mean, there are companies which even don't have all the products online and not found at a website, i.e. not actually available for the consumers. And then on the other hand, I mean, the focus on just having the ability and capability doing the such smart and targeted marketing communication with that in a way. And then, I mean, to succeed, in my opinion, you will need both. I mean, having the product presentation with real-time availability as much as possible. And then of course, you can easily and harness the data with Voyado setup and do these targeted scenarios we've been discussing here today. And then look at from the automation point of view, as you will have the real-time integrations and so forth. So it's essentially just about looking into the tactics, and then in this scenario, looking at the stock inventory management. And then even you could just kind of go with it and focus on and finding the correct segments and scenarios where you might be able to reach the consumers and actually get rid of the really costly stock you have.
Right. And like, first I asked about a challenge. So my follow-up question to that is what's the first thing you do? And obviously it's about having, you know, getting a cup of coffee, discussing around the table about a solution. So basically whiteboarding a strategy, right? And so I did this jointly together with a client. We talked about what do you do? How does the day look when you try to solve this issue? First, try to find that suitable customer segment, like the right group of people that are likely to buy jeans that are female young, right? And base that on KPIs, base that on numbers, like reality, not just guessing that these are probably good, but actually basing it on facts, right? Then we want to tap into loyalty to increase the chances that these guys are going to buy jeans. So we create some incentives, create a couple of promotions, basically. That's what we call it from a Voyado perspective. One called multi-channel promotion with a discount, 20% off on jeans. Multi-channel meaning that you can redeem it online, offline, basically. And then also applying double points for that specific category and assign it to that specific segment. That's great. So now we found the right people. We want to incent them in different ways. We now want to make it visual so they become aware of this offer, basically. So then we create an email from Voyado that is extremely personalized based on who's clicking in. So it becomes very, personal in general, basically, but also include these incentives and filter those out for that specific segment, tie it to that specific segment. Since we have found maybe one or two attractive segmentations here and groups of people, we want to try to find more. So speaking to that social piece, which we utilize here in this use case as a lead generation gimmick, basically. So we automatically sync that segment with Facebook and potentially Google, drive an Instagram ad or YouTube ad, and drive folks back to the website, basically, to grow and expand that group of people even more. And then last but not least, we will create an automated customer journey and push the correct context down that path. In a regular scenario, when I talk to a potential customer or somebody that just want to be inspired, I actually go through this use case as a whole. I create the segments, I look at the numbers and KPIs, I create the email, I sync this automatically to Facebook. I create the automated journey. Today, for the lack of time, I'm just going to create a journey just to give you a glimpse of what to do, because here I'm going to tie it all together by actually automatically assigning the different incentives once an individual enters a certain step in that journey. So automatically kind of create that. Going back to personalization at scale again, you don't need a lot of people in this process because it's simple and you can automate a lot of it. I'm not saying you should automate everything. I don't think that's the right strategy either, but you can automate a lot. So I'm going to create the journey and tap into all these different pieces, like the emails and the incentives and a group of people and things like that. And one question, or I'm going to stop. So Maurus, do you recognize the solution, how you work with this as well?
Yeah, I mean, totally. Like you said, that you should strive to automate a lot, but of course, I mean, there are opportunities which probably should be manual as well. But regardless that, I mean, too often kind of like this approach, like step-by-step whiteboard exercise approach, is left out in a way, because if you have a good pattern you can follow, you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. And then I've seen this approach being used a lot, I mean, really successfully in the sales and marketing planning sessions. I mean, whether it's even dailies, weeklies, monthlies, and so forth, kind of like really strategic or tactical one. It's really powerful in a way. I mean, even the simplicity, it's so beautiful that after session, the team can really immediately kickstart and roll out the needed marketing, for example, like the previously mentioned jeans setup. So it's just about minutes, not even hours in a way. And one part from the organizational anchoring point of view is that this also helps you to become more joined in terms of your cross-functional teams, looking at the 360 view efforts in a way. So it also helps you to grow together as well and become a kind of like a greater marketer in that sense.
Right. So hopefully you guys listening in understand and can kind of relate to the use case and think about, what does this mean for us? Can we do it today? And the $1 million question is, first of all, can you do it today? Any hiccups along the way? Or more importantly, how much time would it take you? How many systems potentially are involved? Do you need to call anybody to help you execute pieces and parts of this to really, from scratch, build up new emails, automations, segment, whatever you need to do, and look at data, of course, in a structured way as well. So what I'm going to do, you can think about, obviously nobody's going to answer me, but think about that question, because we'll get back to the potential result and the KPIs you can get from this as well. So I'm actually going to jump out for a bit here, and I'll do a couple of clicks here and get back to it and go over to the screen. Maurus, can you see my browser now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is Voyado. Again, I'm not going to do a full demo because I'm going to try to do something in like 2-3 minutes now. But here you have some of the KPIs. It's a multi-tenant solution, so you'll get all the release notes and updates as a user. You have all the different pieces of the puzzle that I walked you guys through in that circle on the left-hand side here. So normally I would go in, I would create a segment, I'd look at reports, I group those folks together. That's the best customer for buying jeans. I would create those two incentives, 20% off and the double points in a quick way. And I would create an email from scratch, tailoring it for this use case. And then last but not least, which I'm going to show you now, is to build and tie everything together in a automation. And don't worry if you don't understand everything, because obviously to understand this 100%, you need to understand the data model of your own products, which you do today because that's your products, but also the data model, what we store in the CDP and how it's named, which is going to be tied to you guys anyway. But when we build an automation, we base it on triggers. So as a marketeer, here we work with you, like Maurus and myself talked about. We help you build different journeys so you don't start from scratch. But in this case, I'm actually going to start from scratch to show upon the simplicity of it. So these are triggers. This is like somebody has a birthday, somebody buys something, somebody abandons a cart, something is back in stock, maybe somebody clicked on an email, wrote a review, goes from bronze to silver in tier level. So all these events, something happening. And the use case that I'm going to work with is that I'm going to use a product purchase, a transaction. That's my trigger. That's something initiating something. And what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to pretend that I'm a great marketeer. So I'm going to say that if you buy a t-shirt, you're a female that bought jeans in the past, but not in the past couple of months, and you're young, basically, then you're likely to buy jeans as well. So if you buy the t-shirt, that's a transaction trigger, and you meet certain criteria, then we can control who goes down this path. So that's what I'm going to start doing. And now I'm going to show you the segmentation tool. So this is the first time that you guys see it, but it's a very simple approach. So in the first step, I'm going to tap into your data model around your products and look at subcategory, basically being a t-shirt in this case, because if you buy a t-shirt, you're likely to buy jeans. That's me pretending, but you get the idea. And then I want to make sure that it's just female. So I'll go in and choose female. I'll tap into transactions since we keep track of that as well. And sorry about that. And I will add based on us knowing your receipts. So I'll go down in the model here, look at receipts and look at a specific article. And now I need to look at that subcategory again, being jeans. Okay. And then I add another criteria saying what receipt date is before a certain date, basically. So they have bought jeans, but not in the past months, basically. So hopefully that makes sense. And then you can keep building this, but I'll stop for now. You get the idea. You have extreme flexibility of building out. So what I'm saying now is that once you made a purchase of a t-shirt, you meet these criteria, you will go down this path. I want to put a time delay because I don't want it to ping me right away. So we'll do a 4-hour delay once you bought that t-shirt. And I want to be respectful. So maybe between 8 to 17, not in weekends, basically. And then just type OK on that one as well. And now is where the simplicity comes in, guys. So now you have access under the same hood to everything. I haven't shown you how to build this up. I would do that in an hour session. So that's how fast it goes. But now we're going to choose from the loyalty, from the promotions and sentiments that I put up here. I'm going to choose the specific jeans campaign discount 20% off here to automatically assign it. I'm also going to assign the double points from here. And again, you haven't seen it, so you just have to trust me that it's simple to set up this as well to create those double points. And I want to present this now as well. So now we assign the incentive, and I can show you, you can either choose from a list, ready-made emails that you created, or you can create from scratch here as well. I think I have like an email here that I'm working with. So it's a 4-step process of how to maintain and work it. You can look at it from different perspectives, like a mobile phone, stuff like that, and you can tweak it from here. But I'm not going to work on the email itself. There's a lot of power going into that as well. But now I've chosen the email that I tailored, filtered to this specific segment to see the right things. So again, now somebody bought a t-shirt, they are female, they bought jeans in the past, but not in the past month. They have now gotten this 20% off assigned to them. They've gotten the double points assigned to them. And we pushed out an email to these guys, presenting it. So if they buy jeans now, they're actually going to get these incentives, right? Then we want to put give them some time. So maybe 2 days to make up their mind there, basically. And then we set up a condition. So the same segmentation tool now is going to be utilized. And again, I understand it's the first time you see it, so that might create some confusion. But we're going to create the condition based on if you used your 20% off promotion. That means you bought the jeans. So I'll tap into the promotions tab here in the model. And I'll go back to if they've used the jeans 20% off campaign, that means that you bought the jeans. And then we push them right, or they go left. If they go left, within 2 days, we want to ship them a reminder through SMS, because we are the engine behind that as well. Maybe we want to personalize within this as well. Say, hi, Melissa, have you missed your offer? Missed your offer, and just okay. And if we go right, then we want to remove them having access to double points, for example, automatically, because now they bought it, they utilized it. Maybe we want to send another email that's called washing instructions, because now we're taking care of this customer. So very easy to find the pre-made for different care instructions. And maybe you want to label automatically, which is a post-it note, labeling people, this specific individual as a jeans lover. And that can initiate a new journey, for example. And when it comes to testing and making sure that things are effective, both in emails, but also in these journeys, you want to work with A/B versions, potentially. So work with the version A, version B, and the one that converts the best, you drive 100% down that path. And the idea here is that it should just be simple, right? So if this is in the wrong place, drag and drop it down here. If you want to add something more, you have everything available. And if you want to tweak it, you can actually do it from this side of things, if that makes sense. So I'm going to stop there because I think we're actually pushing over now, and I'm going to quickly jump back to the values. I hope that folks can stick around. I'm going to take the first one. So what's the biggest benefits? Obviously, make more money. We can show you so many use cases of how they increase their member database, average receipts going up, better conversion on emails, a lot of data around this, right? But what we're talking about today is the scalability of things, like not having to hire more people in the process, but keeping that speed. So if you think about that, your answer to my question, how long would that use case take? If it's 3 to 5 days, which is a common answer, and that's not bad, to be honest. It's weeks sometimes because there's so many dependencies. If I can say that you can have the idea, whiteboard it, execute before lunch the same day, what would that mean for your business? How much time would you save? How much more time could you as marketeers spend on what you're hired to do? Like coming up with good ideas and getting them out there. And also how much more money could you make, obviously. An example that I take sometimes is not only the general like calendar year for campaigns going out, but acting on opportunity. If you open the newsletter this morning and you see, oh my God, that happened. That means that we can get rid of all these products in a big way. Act on that now. So if you're selling umbrellas, it's raining, the following week, me and Maurus creating this want to get that out today, right? Not in a week's time, not in 3 days, maybe the sun is shining again. Then you missed an opportunity. What's your take on that, and also lowering risk, Maurus?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a beautiful example in a way. So as we were talking about the inventory management and so forth, so it's about having the momentum with your business and then your core KPIs in that. But also if you look at from the organization point of view as well, and which is important to think on, there are some risks with the traditional legacy setups. For example, let's look at the scenario someone quits. In a way, you will most likely lose all the knowledge, and then ramping up to the same speed might take a lot of time. As Mattias mentioned, typically there are a lot of manual labor integrations and so forth related to that piece. And then if you look at from the marketer landscape, I mean, to be honest, actually, it has changed a lot. And then today, especially many of the younger generation experience don't even want to work with the legacy setups. I've heard the story actually quite many times that our clients have been interviewing new prospects, and then when they learn the tool sets, for example, then they just kind of say, that's not my thing in a way. And so it's you want to kind of transition from tech work to the marketing itself. So this is also the nice part that it's also about kind of like having a good ENPS within your organization. If you can cater for good and nice tools, and you let the guys to focus in their core in the marketing.
No, it makes sense, and having fast onboarding, of course, as well. So sorry guys about taking a little bit more of your time than we promised here. I think from my perspective, I'm satisfied. It's a glimpse. It's a lot of information in a short amount of time, but Maurus, myself, would love to. We are passionate about these discussions. So if you want to have a full hour going through kind of the same use case, but in detail, kind of digging in how we could help you and tie it into your specific reality, because everybody's slightly different. Not everybody works in that use case and how we solve that. But to show on the simplicity and speed, please get back to us. We'd love to talk to you guys. So from my perspective, thank you for joining, and thank you, Maurus, for joining me as well.
Thanks, guys, and then have a great day.